The Vector Warp tool is a powerful new feature in Affinity Designer 2.0 that lets you put your vector art onto real-world surfaces. However, understanding how to use this tool and the theory of perspective can be a little intimidating. In this video, I'm going to show you some of the theory of perspective to help you use this tool, and then we'll look into some real-world examples of actually using the Perspective Warp tool itself. Let's jump in. What's up guys, it's Trent, and today we're going to be talking about this little button here in Affinity Designer that says Warp Group. Specifically, when you click on it, we're going to look into this Perspective Warp tool. Now all these options allow us to non-destructively bend our vector shapes to almost any kind of perspective we like. And the keyword there is non-destructive. These features can be toggled on and off, they can be modified, and they're not going to break our underlying vectors. But before we can really appreciate how to use the Perspective Warp Group, I want to go into a little bit of the background of perspective to make sure we're all on the same level, and that will help us use the tool much more effectively. So let's actually look at perspective to begin with. Our eyes are curved lenses, and the common effect of this is that things that are far away appear to be smaller. You're probably familiar with the railroad track example, where the tracks that are parallel and actually never meet seem to meet as they go into the distance. That's a pretty common perspective example. Here I'm going to look at another example here, and it's a billboard. And this might be a common example of something where you're going to put your art to be mocked up on, right, in a sample image or something. One of the keys to understanding perspective is to understand that it's all about the planes, the flat surfaces, and how parallel lines behave on them. Now with this billboard example, we have a really clear example of a flat surface. What I like to do when I'm looking at something that is going to require perspective work is to find out where the vanishing points are. So if this is a surface I have to do some work on, what I would do is I would get the pen tool, and let's get it to some bright color that will show up obviously. So I did green. If I click these lines here, I can follow along the parallel lines like so. And let me make it thicker so you can see it. So you can see this line here. And it has kind of a matching twin line down here. So this gives us an indication of where our plane is pointing. But what's really happening here though? So what I can do is you can click the node tool. And what I like to do is I like to zoom out. And if you hold shift and you drag the vertice, you can pretty much go out forever. And what I like to look for is where do these lines intersect. So I'll drag this out here. And you can see they intersect around here, this point, which occurs off the screen. It's very common for extreme perspective to have vanishing points that go off the screen. And what this really helps tell us is that this is the vanishing point for this plane. Now what that means is that if I had a line that started here, if it was going to be parallel to these other lines, it would actually vanish at this line too. So let's say I had another line here. I would follow it out to my vanishing point and click on it there. So these top and bottom straight edges were big clues about how the surface of this object is going to behave. Okay, so let's actually like a practical example with this image here. Let's say we want to add some more text to the ground here. And we already have an example of this stop word, which is in perspective, of course. And how do we do a similar thing using our knowledge and using the warp perspective tool? Well, let's again find our lines for the vanishing points. Now we have some big clues with this crosswalk, so let me try to start working on that. Maybe I'll do green again. Now I can see there's definitely some wobbliness with this, and these aren't going to be perfect, but let's see what we can do. So I'll do this line here. I'll thicken it up. Okay, so now let's choose our word. So make some text here. Walk. Let's just say walkway. I'll make it white. Let's just pick something kind of big and solid. So I want this walkway text to also be in perspective like that stop text. So let's say we want to put it between these two lines here. So what I would also do is create some horizontal lines that we want to match with. So maybe I want it to just be here. I want to match that for the top part, and then for the bottom part, maybe I want to match this. I'm holding shift to make it draw perfectly straight. And I'm just assuming that these lines are straight horizontal there. So with walkway selected, what I'll do is now I'll go to my perspective warp, or my warp group. I'm going to click perspective. And what you saw is these things turn to circles. And now what I can do is I can drag these. I'll put them here. And I'll fit it into this rectangle. So now it looks like it's in perspective. If I do the grid, there it is. So by the way, with the warp group affected there, I can turn on the mesh off and on so you can see what it looks like. So if I click mute mesh, that's what it looks normally. So it's non-destructive, and I can enable the mesh back on. So this is when you have the warp group selected. Toggling it here will turn the mesh on and off. I can make the opacity go down. Maybe I'll make the text a little bit grayer. If you wanted to go crazy, you could even go to like a pixel mode, add a mask, and then perhaps do some type of brush with texture on it. So let's see, I don't know, textures, something rough, something gray. So that's kind of beyond the scope of this video, adding textures and things like that, but sometimes I can't resist. But that is essentially a basic use case for the warp group, where I had it use the perspective setting, and then I use my grid to fit it correctly here. And I built the grid using things from the real environment here, these objects or these shapes which I knew were in parallel to each other. Okay, so a lot of times if you've studied perspective in the past, you get these nice examples of things called 1-point, 2-point, 3-point perspective, and they always have these very nice grids that have buildings and things like that, and everything is very nice and organized. So this is a classic example here of 2-point perspective where you're looking at buildings, and from our earlier example we can see that just like the billboards, there would be a perspective point way off on the left for all these planes, and there'd be perspective point on the right for this side of the building. Unfortunately, reality tends to be more complicated. And people often ask, what perspective is the world in? Is the world in 3-point perspective? The fact is the world is an infinite point perspective, because point perspective is about where the planes are pointing. In reality, we often have this type of situation here, where you have boxes just pointing in every single direction. So you can see the difference here between our city street and the picture of these boxes. So the city street, we have just nice 2 sets of planes essentially. Here we have planes facing in every direction. So the question is, how do we actually handle this scenario on the right? So now I want to give a demo. Let's say we had a logo for something and we want to put it on these different boxes. How would we go about that? So let's look at that demo now. Okay, so let's look at our boxes here and let's decide how would we add this logo to one of these tilted boxes. And let's find a complicated one. I think this one over here is really kind of interesting. So I'm going to back up our logo here. I'll shrink it down. And what we'll do is let's figure out like where is this plane pointing. So I'll take out my pen tool again and I'll kind of trace the top edge, make it a little thicker so it shows up. And let's do the bottom edge here. And what we need to do is we need to extend these to their vanishing point. So let's see where this is actually going. Looks like I might hit our logo. Okay, it's going to be on the page, which is good. So we get this area right here. Let me, let's just draw a little circle there. That's our vanishing point. So I'm going to take the logo and let's bring it to the front. Yes, in the front. Now, what I want to do is I want to use the perspective tool to put it on this box. And let's figure out where we want to put the top of our logo. So let me go back to our color. And let's say we want the top to be around here. So I'll extend it to our vanishing point. And where's the center of our box? Well, the center is going to be somewhere here. This cross here is the center of our box. So let's work with the logo now. So I got the logo. I'll bring to the front again. And what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to group these curves so they can be easily hidden. So with the logo selected, I'm going to select warp and perspective. So now we want to put our points along the lines over here. So let me get it going. And what I forgot to do is put a bottom line, but I can just kind of guess where it's going to go. So if I did this right, these straight lines should actually meet our vanishing point. So let's see if that worked. So that line, which is the straight line in our logo, let's see if it actually meets our vanishing point. This will be the test. Looks like it. Yeah, so that tells me we lined it up pretty well. And of course you can always do a little bit of touch-up work if something doesn't quite look right. I think in general this looks pretty good. One thing we can do as a sanity check is we can measure how far is this distance here compared to this distance? This should be bigger, right? So if I go there to there, yeah, you can see definitely this side is smaller. That gives me some confidence that we're in the ballpark range of things. Also, we verified these parallel lines in the logo actually do go to the vanishing point. So I'll do one more example. Let's take the top of a box down here. So even though there's tape, let's pretend our logo would be printed on that. Well, we would do the same thing as we did before. We would get our pen tool. Let's draw some guidelines there. That side to that side, and then this corner to that corner. We can extend them in either direction. Let's go this way. And hopefully it's not too far off the screen. Well, it looks like it's going to be really off the screen. Let's look at what the other side does. Yeah, so it looks like it's converging on this way. I wish I should have known to begin with. Just because that's the further part. So I mean, this is going to go way out there. I mean, this might even be further than we care to go. I'll go just for the sake of the video, but in real life, I'd be like, okay, this doesn't really matter. So yeah, you can see this is our vanishing point out here. I'm going to call it there. So what you saw in that situation was I noticed that going on this direction, the lines were going further apart, which is what lines do when they're going in the opposite way of the vanishing point. So then I went and checked the other side, and they're going way out here. So okay, so that's a thing. Let's look at the other lines. This to there, and this to there. Okay, this one's definitely much better. So just drop a circle. All right, so we want our logo to fit in there. Let's say we want it to be, I don't know, we want this to be like one side of it. When I do that, I just drop it down randomly. I put a point on this line, I put a point there, but now what I need to do is I need to take this point, I need to actually line it up with that vanishing point. So let's bring it out and drop it there. So when I do that, that means this line is parallel to this other line here. And I'll do another one for this line down below, which I neglected to do for the previous example. So I'll drag this, and we'll draw a center. Alright, so I want the box to be in here. I want the logo to be in there. Let's see how it works. Get a ballpark size, and go to perspective, warp, and we have it here. So let's do this. Okay, let's hide our curves, and let's see what it looks like. So it's not bad. You can, and again, you can kind of tweak it a little bit to make it look right. Now, one strange thing that happens is when you select the warp group, it kind of selects the original area that it was in. So that's something to notice. And also earlier I said you can mute the warp group. You can do that, but make sure you're in the node tool in order for that to work. So that's how that goes. Okay, so that's how vector warp works in Affinity Designer 2. It's a really useful tool for doing mock-ups and kind of putting your design on items that you might want to visualize. If you have any more questions about how to use this tool, I know I only touched one of the options, which was the perspective warp here. There's a couple other ones. If you want me to do a full tutorial on all of them, let me know. I kind of wanted to focus on this one about the theory of perspective and also just that one perspective option, but the other ones are pretty good also, and you can play with them. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.